Hello and welcome back to Fist Entertainment. This time for my review of 2003's Underworld. This is the unrated version, as you can see right here. Well, Underworld. I saw this film originally on pay-per-view, of all places, which is very interesting. And I can say I actually liked what I saw. That I did eventually purchase a DVD. That was when the unrated version was actually originally introduced. Did church that DVD. It was actually a deluxe edition DVD. It had a lot of, I think it had like 2 discs. Had very cool exclusive artwork. And what attracted me to this movie was just the visuals, the way that the film looked, and the fact that it was a fresh take on the whole vampire and werewolf underworld mythology and lore. Granted, it had different stuff in it, but what I liked about it is it did not divert from the lore of the underworld mythology. Whether it be vampires or werewolves, it was very much in tone with the traditions of those two myths. Vampires, of course, being presented the way they're supposed to be presented. Werewolves being presented the way they're supposed to be presented. In the film, now we're going on to the plot of the film. The plot of the film is basically in a ageless, never-ending war between vampires and lycans, original name in the mythologies for werewolves, have been at war for centuries and centuries. Been about like 10,000 years or something along those lines. And the war had ended with the death of the leader of the lycans, the character known as Lucien. But it's only ever really been rumor, and always it's been on the word of a elder vampire by the name of I just watched this movie last night. This tells you I get so busy I forget names. Craven. By the words of one of the elders vampires known as Craven, said that he killed the leader of the Lycan clan, and has a piece of his skin to prove it. But that's it. Beyond all that is all speculation. That's all based off of word. The main character, Celine, played by Kate Beckinsale, in the role that made her a big star, actually was this film, Underworld. She believes that the Lycans are planning a coup against the vampire nation, and that they're planning on overwhelming us. Or not us, but overwhelming the vampire nation. And basically, she believes that Lucien's not dead. And well, when she finally confronts Lucien, when she's trying to protect a human that got caught in the middle of this war between vampires and lycans by the name of Michael Coven. And well, she uncovers pretty much a plot to end the war once and for all by figuring out the history of the war. And we figured the history of the war through Celine as well as Michael, our 2 lead characters. Lucien actually marks, it's the proper terminology in a werewolf mythology, he marks Michael. So Michael kind of first turns into a werewolf. And through Michael's eyes, we actually discover what started the war. What started the war is that centuries and centuries, possibly over 1,000 years earlier, the character of Lucian, played by Michael Stein, he was a slave and a servant to the vampire clan. And he fell in love with one of the elder's daughters. And she got pregnant. And basically putting the interest of the vampire nation and the vampire clan before his own daughter, one of the most respected elders, Victor, played by Bill Knightley, decided it was a good idea to sacrifice his own daughter. And as punishment, he tied Lucian up to chains as he watched as the sunlight killed the woman that he loves. And he escaped, and that's what started the war between the vampires and the werewolves lichens. Now, that's explained in this movie, in the first film. But for continuity purposes, I will be reviewing all 6 Underworld movies. Actually, is it 6 or is it 5? Sorry, all 5 Underworld movies. And obviously, through Celine, we discover what her roots are. She believes that werewolves were attacking her family, and they slaughtered her family. And Victor came and liberated her, and offered her eternal life, in sort of a way to get even with the vampires. Sorry, get even with the werewolves that killed her family. She finds out that Victor actually killed her family and just couldn't bring himself to kill her, but instead he turned her. So she's been living a lie. Which brings us to the big climax of the movie. Supposedly, Michael is the descendant of the original immortal, known as Alexander Corvidians. And the idea is to blend the bloodlines to make something new that would have essentially bring it into the war. And the movie is really a romance movie, really, between Celine and Michael. Victor, of course, having fears that he'll have to protect the vampire world, vampire clan, yet again. He tries to kill Michael. The girl, of course, so does Craven. He tries to kill Michael as well. And basically, Celine bites Michael. Michael's already a werewolf, but Celine bites him, and he becomes what's known as a hybrid, the first hybrid of all time, to where he's actually half vampire, half werewolf, but stronger and more powerful than both. And she, of course, devours and kills, not really devours, but I guess just kills Victor. And by the end of the film, Celine and Michael are on the run from the Vampire Nation. And very much love it, obviously. And that's pretty much the plot of the first film, in layman's terms, and I've pretty much covered almost everything. Not literally everything, but almost everything. The quality of the film. All of the Underworld films, but especially the first film, is a very, very digital looking movie. And so I expect to see a lot of very, very cool, almost winterized color temperatures and cinematography in this film. I guess they kind of wanted to go for that chill factor and sort of blue note factor on the picture. So really more of a cool temperatured movie. There's not really much in terms of warm temperatures or neutral temperatures. It's all completely cool. I would say that it does get neutralized a little bit at some points in the movie, but overall, it's very interesting how they made the movie, but it's really just a cool temperatured film from beginning to end. But it looks good for what it is. It still does kind of look like film, so it has those film elements of a little bit of grain every now and then. But it looks like a very heavily digital, cool bluish like looking, whitish like looking, colorful digital film. Is kind of what it looks like to me. The sound. This one has both a Dolby Digital 5.1 and a English PCM 5.1 uncompressed audio. Presentations, I watched the 5.1 uncompressed audio PCM sound presentation, and I'm reminded about why we do not have movies in this format anymore, because it gets a little too loud. We're talking about uncompressed audio, no compression at all, and put in an extremely high bit rate. So expect a lot of blasty effects. Now, does that work for the movie? Yes and no, because the film is obviously limited to 5.1 channels. But that's pretty much all there really is to say about Underworld. I will see you guys next time for my review of Resident Evil Apocalypse. Until then.